Hey, everybody, welcome into the 14. I'm Nick Cole, and today we're previewing the Auburn and Akron Week 1 matchup from a betting perspective. I'm here with Christopher Smith, our resident gambling expert. Christopher, this is Brian Harson's debut game. What are you thinking about how things are going on the Plains?
Yeah, hey Nick, and hey to everybody down on the plains, including my brother who goes to college at Auburn currently. And yeah, we'll see Auburn with basically a preseason game against the Akron Zips here. But before we get into the analysis on the betting side, Nick, why don't we get into Nick's news and notes and give us some headlines that are buzzing around the Auburn program right now?
Sure. So the first thing is obviously the anticipation for Harson's debut. This team for so long had the identity of Gus Malzahn, whether it be him as an offensive coordinator or him as a head coach. And it feels like this is like springtime, right? A new flower is budding here, and we're just going to see what we're getting from a team that is returning Bo Nix as a starting quarterback, right? But has a new scheme in place, a new culture in place, and I'm really just excited to see what we're going to see out of a new Auburn program. And the second thing to watch for in this game from the Akron side of things is that they're going to be without their leading rusher. I mean, you go back and you look at the stats. Junior running back Tayon Dollard is out. He ran into a little bit of legal trouble in the offseason. He's got an indefinite suspension, and they sort of confirmed that that's not going to end, even though they're coming to play Auburn. They're going to have to try to do it without their best rusher. So there's a reason this game is so lopsided in the lines here. It's Auburn opened as a 35.5-point favorite. It's pushed up to 37. And Christopher, I know that that's a lot of points to cover, especially in your debut with the new offense. But what are you thinking about Auburn right now?
Yeah, the over-under also started at 54.5, now up to 55. And if you look at Auburn, Bo Nix and a totally new receiving core and a totally new offensive system that is a lot more complicated than what it was under Gus Malzahn. That's a question mark for sure. My personal biggest concerns for the Auburn Tigers this season are along the line of scrimmage. Now, you look at offensive line, all five starters plus Brandon Council are returned for the Tigers. Council was hurt last year. That offensive line was average. It's going to need to be a lot better with Harsin wanting to run an inside zone, pro-style type of offense with a lot more toughness, a lot more physicality. And they got a chance. I don't think the offensive line is going to be great, but it could be decent enough. On the other side of the ball, the defensive line lost Big Cat Bryant. It lost Daquan Newkirk. It lost Tyrone Truesdale. All three of those guys transferred. And if you remember that big tight end last year that everybody was ranting and raving about, JJ Pegues, well, he's a defensive end now. That's how bad Auburn needs bodies on the defensive line. They're also going to be starting transfers from UAB and Kansas, and they have some good but undersized linebackers on defense. So it'll be interesting to see if their line can get enough of a push so that those undersized linebackers can use their speed and get downhill. Now, Phil Steele ranks Akron's offensive and defensive lines at 11th and 10th in the MAC. Athlon Sports, 12th and 11th in the MAC. So this is certainly not the type of game that's going to test Auburn at the line of scrimmage like a lot of their games will later this season. They face a really tough schedule. And, you look at Akron, they started 4 true freshmen at offensive line last year, and all 5 returned as, I guess, redshirt freshmen because of the eligibility rule for last season. So maybe a good offensive line in a few years from now if they're all still playing together, but this is not the team that's going to challenge Auburn at the line of scrimmage in this game. But what about on the spread and the total, Nick? Who are you taking? Where are you trying to win some money this weekend on this game?
So for pretty much every reason you just stated on the lines, people say games are won and lost in the SEC on the lines. And in these non-conference games, when you're a bad MAC line, that spells trouble when you're playing an SEC type of size and speed. So I really like Auburn laying the 37 points. I feel like Brian Harsin will be out to make a statement in the way that he asserts his offense. And then also, I'm just not sure that Akron's even going to be able to score against Auburn. Just the size and the speed isn't going to match up well. But I do like the over 55 as well. because I think Auburn's going to score almost all of that on their own. So maybe not, if not all of it. So that's where I'm leaning on this game. How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, so this is yet another one of these SEC matchups that I personally won't be putting down any of my own dollars on it. But it is worth noting that Harsin is 9-0 against the spread in his last 4 seasons at Boise State before he went to Auburn, when his team was favored by at least 17 points. Clearly, Auburn's favored by a lot more than that here. So he's done very well against the spread against outmatched opponents in the past. I just don't want to eat 37 points of chalk in his debut at Auburn when there's a lot of new pieces. But for the sake of having to pick a game, I'll take Auburn minus 37. And I will take the over 55 as well. I just think that Akron's going to be outmatched by far at the line of scrimmage. I think that Harsin, part of the whole thing for Harsin's hire and getting rid of Malzahn was they need to develop Nix, or they need to develop some sort of quarterback. Otherwise, they're going to be in big trouble in some of these SEC games. So it wouldn't surprise me if he tries to take advantage of Akron and maybe a little bit more than a lot of SEC coaches would, and maybe be a little bit more respectful than Harsin will be in this game, simply because I think he needs to get Nix some confidence, and he needs to get this whole offense feeling pretty good about what they're doing. So I will take Auburn minus 37, and I'll take the over 55. For Nick Cole, I'm Christopher Smith for the 14, and hopefully we'll be making you some money this weekend.